founder of Bare Bones Leadership. Bare Bones Leadership is a basic fundamental leadership program. Our mantra here is don't look outside yourself to get you where you want to be. Our program is based upon leading yourself first and getting where you need to go without any outside influence, direction, motivation. Everything works from the inside out. That's our philosophy here at Bare Bones. So a little bit about myself. I was in the military for 23 years. I retired in 2014. Within those 23 years, I have led men and women, whether it be stateside, overseas, combat missions, in training, a myriad of different leadership responsibilities. I've also had some hard lessons in leadership responsibilities while in the military. And those lessons and experiences we can certainly share and bring to the table here, or here at Bare Bones. I've also been a law enforcement officer since 2004. I currently serve on a tactical response team, and I have served as an instructor in the training division. While an instructor, I served as a drill instructor, a firearms instructor. I taught classes in defensive tactics, security threat groups, active shooter response, and a variety of classes in the law enforcement curriculum. In my humble opinion, my leadership experiences have brought me nearly full circle in that I have been very fortunate to lead men and women in some very complex and very difficult situations overseas, to retire and come back to the bottom ranks of law enforcement, leading only myself to where, I would like to go and what I would like to be, leading myself to being the most effective, the most efficient, the most what's the word I'm looking for? The most efficient team member that can contribute to my team overall. From there, I found myself as an instructor. As an instructor, there's no appointed leadership role, but there certainly is an assumed one, especially when you're leading a class, when you're leading in-service training for veteran officers, and when you are charged with the responsibility of developing new officers and officer candidates. There is that kind of a hybrid leadership role. So with all those experiences, I humbly will try to present a kind of a unique perspective in leadership and starting from the basics. Again, one of our mantras is leading from the inside out. And this was kind of born out of a quote by one of the most influential generals in the Vietnam era. And his name is General Hal Moore. He went on to say, great leaders learn to lead self first. Before you can lead others, leading self successfully must be accomplished day in and day out. I think that's a pretty prolific statement. And it puts a very complex subject of leadership. It takes it down to the most common denominator. And that's us. That's us as an individual. So before we get out there and start directing and trying to influence, motivate, and inspire other people to do whatever it is whatever task we would like them to do, maybe we should develop those principles and those experiences and kind of develop that leadership skill set within ourselves first before we move on. Because leadership in and itself is an extremely, extremely complex subject. It's inherently complex. So what we'll talk about a little bit in this episode, but certainly dive into in the upcoming episodes, is some basic, simple principles to a very complex subject. Now, on social media and a few of the other platforms that we're on, the question of what does FIDO mean has come up recently anyways. Well, what FIDO means is it's an acronym. It's an acronym that I first heard in the military, and it's kind of stuck with me through when times are difficult or complex or just there's seemingly too much. And the acronym FIDO stands for Fuck It, Drive On. And how we apply it is that with the understanding that no matter how well we plan, how much time and effort we put into how we would like things to go, it's just a plan. And we'll never plan for every contingency. If we keep that FIDO in our back pocket and we understand that concept, when things do kind of go to crap, we can apply that fuck it, drive on mentality. And we can use that mentality to propel us forward. As we move forward with different talks and as we go through some of these different episodes coming up, we'll talk a lot about the Army's 11 leadership principles. We'll talk about them because they were developed from military history. And we can go all the way back to the Meditations of Marcus Aurelius. We can go Sun Tzu. We can hit all the big names in leadership. Most of their principles are still applied today in the military world, the corporate world, just in life in general. And it's aimed to come back to keeping that simplistic approach to complex situations. As we move along, though, today I would like to talk about my top 3 principles. And these top 3 that I have kind of developed and adopted are based on some very personal experiences in the military and in law enforcement. And my top 3 is as follows. The number 1 is check your ego at the door. I'll never forget the first time I heard this. I was at a active shooter training. And at this training were, guys from FBI, SWAT, some higher level operators. And that was the very first slide that came up on the presentation, was check your ego at the door. No matter what scenario we're given or what situation we find ourselves in, our answer, our approach to that is just a approach, not the approach. It's a approach. And that approach is born out of our own skill sets, our own experiences, our own philosophies towards doing something. Not everybody has those same experiences, philosophies, and approaches to draw from. So if Dave Thompson decides to tackle a situation a certain way, well, that's his way. It's not the way. There's plenty of other people out there with a hell of a lot more experience than me that have different approaches. And some of them, maybe most of them, will be better. Will we have the same result? Will we both be effective? Maybe, maybe not. But not two people will ever have the same experiences and the same skill sets to draw from. So check your ego at the door. Keep an open mind, especially in a team environment, in a team setting. Everybody brings something to the table. Everyone brings something to the table of value. My next principle is integrity. Be who you pretend to be. If you choose not to do that, if that is not one of your approaches in leadership, in dealing in a team environment, you're going to be exposed. Somebody somewhere along the line is going to see through that. The chances of it being more than one person are pretty good. They're going to just see right through it. If you say you're going to do something, do it. If you don't know the answer, it's okay. If you're a leader or a team member who's pretty influential and knowledgeable, I don't know. It's a perfectly acceptable answer. I don't know, and not taking that opportunity to learn something new or to not help somebody out by helping them find the answer or figuring the issue out, that is the problem. But be who you pretend to be. Your leadership style is a direct reflection of your own personal principles and values, and they will be exposed. Whatever you project, be that. My third principle is human beings. No matter what our overall goal is, no matter what our mission is, it's human beings who are going to make that happen. Human beings are going to accomplish that goal. They're going to accomplish that mission. They're going to fulfill that mission statement. Not robots, not unfeeling, emotionless bots or cyborgs. They're human beings. We are human beings as leaders. There is an approach that just stuff your feelings in a jar and throw them on the shelf. I have lived that philosophy and that approach. And at certain times, that approach has served me very well. In the long haul, the big picture, that's detrimental to the overall human, the overall person. And when it comes to the mind, body, and spirit, not taking those three categories into consideration when making a decision and directing human beings at whatever task is necessary to meet an objective, to accomplish something. Your decisions as a leader, as an influential teammate, has a ripple effect. And it's very easy to come back with we all have to compartmentalize our different parts of life. And that is true. It's true. We definitely do. It's a lot easier said than done. And as things pile up, as pressures mount, as things get intensified, sometimes those compartments bleed into each other. Our bodies can be as fit as we'd like. If we don't have the mental resiliency, it doesn't mean anything. We're not going to push ourselves to do what we need to do. If spiritually, religiously, whatever someone chooses to believe in, if they're not at peace, the mind and or the body have to compensate on one level or another. Not to be too kumbaya on everybody, but the mind, body, spirit part of leading people is very underrated and often overlooked, especially when we start talking about people in the first responder field, former military people who have a lot in their backpacks. And first responders tend to fill up their backpacks pretty quickly because it's a fast-paced environment. Things go from 0 to 100 quick. And we'll touch on this as we go along, but keep in mind, it's human beings that are going to accomplish the overall mission and the overall goal. That's it for our introductory talk tonight on FIDO Talk. What you can look forward to coming up is some pretty good interviews, some perspectives, some talks on the blogs we put up, on current events and perspectives. If you get a chance, check us out at barebonesleadership.com. We have a couple of blog posts up now. Check us out on social media. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We are very, very grateful for the opportunity to share our perspective, to share our experiences, and to engage with the people out there, with people who would like to develop themselves as efficient and effective leaders. Very grateful for your time. Thank you, and stay tuned for the next episode. Guys, get out there and start kicking some doors in.